this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. The first item on our agenda is a continued hearing for 65 Network Drive, petition of Santec property, for the property at 65 Network Drive. This application the applicant has requested to withdraw this application.
Make a motion to withdraw 65 Network Drive.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to withdraw 65 Network Drive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. The next item on our agenda is a new hearing for 58 Macon Road. Mark, could you read that into the record for us, please?
The petition of Louis Magliozzi for property located at 58 Macon Road is shown on map 16, parcel 15 of Burlington Assessor's Maps. The applicant is seeking a variance to construct a rear addition deck and front porch. The addition is in violation of the Burlington zoning bylaw, Article 5, Section 5.2.0. Side setback required is 15 feet, and the proposed is 10 feet at the right side of the porch, and the proposed right side of the rear addition is 7.7 feet.
Thank you. Is anyone here to speak on this matter? Please come up, introduce yourself, and give us an overview of your proposal.
My name's Louis Magliozzi, I'm the homeowner. Yeah, you pretty much said it all. The additions, unfortunately, the house was originally built too close to the property line, so. And the addition I want to do is going to be non-conforming, so.
All right. John, we'll start with you.
Okay, well, first, I want to hear what are the additions for. I know the front is for a porch, but this back, that proposed deck that you have in the back, that's nothing, that's not going to have a roof or anything on it,
No.
right? All right, so that's got nothing. Are you adding bedrooms, or are you just making them bigger?
I'm adding a master suite.
What's the floor plan like?
So there's a bedroom back there, so I'm just going to extend it, make a master suite, and there'll be an underneath two-car garage attached as well.
Oh, underneath
that.
there'll be a two-car garage? Do you have the plans for that?
I should have them emailed to you, but you know what? I didn't bring them with me, shoot.
No.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I know I emailed them to a bunch of people, so I hopefully, no? You didn't get them? Shoot. All right. Let me have...
I have questions, but I need more information first, so I'll
Sure.
think I'll let the
Okay.
boards go and speak some.
All right, Mark?
Yeah, I'd really like to see the plans to get a sense for what you're proposing.
Yeah.
That would be a good idea as a starting point.
I may have a picture of it on my phone if that...
Why don't we go through and we'll see what we get to that.
Okay.
Charles?
I'd also like to see the plans. I do have a question. Do you have a plot plan that is signed, dated, and stamped?
I do.
The only one that we have in the packet is not signed.
I do have a copy of the original here if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, if you could,
yeah.
if you could hand that up, pass it around, please.
Yes, that's.
Yeah.
Is it two-car garage or one car?
Two.
You're better at that than I am.
So the entrance to the garage would be on the side of the wider part of the lot line, so.
When was the house built?
When?
Yeah.
I believe in the 60s.
Oh, so, do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
So are you saying that the driveway's gonna be moved, you're gonna come down on the right side of the property, turn left into the garage? You're gonna go straight into the garage?
You're gonna have to do a turn. to get
Turn
into the
left into the garage?
No, but sorry.
Yeah, sure.
You'd be turning right into the garage, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So he's on the wider spot that he has here. He'll be coming in from the road and turning in here. He wouldn't have room for a two-car garage over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's what I thought. But mine shows Macon Road being on this side. How about this? If that's what I'm
He's
looking
gotta
at.
come here, right?
Stamped.
Is that what he's proposing?
Yeah. All right, I was looking at it wrong.
I don't have any other questions at this time. What would be helpful for me would be to see the plans that are, the actual building, and if you happen to have, an older plot plan that showed just, I don't even know if they would have that.
The existing,
Yeah, just
Curb line.
when it was originally built. I know it's in the sixties, so.
Yeah, I don't think that
Kinda
there was
hard.
one of record.
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
All right, that's all I have for right now.
But so is that this?
Yeah.
What's 58? Number 58,
So my original question was, what was on I was asking what was going to be like in front of that porch, facing towards Macon. That's where I thought you said the garage was going, so
Oh,
that's
no,
why I
no,
thought
no.
you were coming in that side there. I'm sitting there scratching my head. But I'll just soon wait to see the plot plan myself.
All right, you mean the house plan?
The house plan, that's what I meant, yeah.
Jim, any questions?
I don't think so, not at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. Seeing the floor plan and why you have to lay it out in a way that is encroaching. I know that the existing house is already
Right.
within the setback, but then to encroach on it more with a new addition, one of the things that we have to look at is like, what's the hardship? So, if you can, show us what the floor plan is gonna be and why you have to build it in that location as opposed to shifting it over so it doesn't encroach more on a certain setback as much as you can, that, those are things we need to look at to consider, granting a variance.
Better to email it to somebody, or should I just get a
Yeah,
hard
I
copy?
emailed you asking for it.
Yeah, I could have sworn I sent it to you, no? All right. I'll try it again.
Am I reading this correctly? So then the back corner of his house is 8.4 feet already?
right,
Correct.
So he has a variance, there's a variance for that already?
No, the house was originally built that way, I don't know. There was no other records of why. I
What year was the house built, you said?
think in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's prior
Oh,
to-
absolutely, absolutely it's possible, especially down there, there's a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
The other problem is the lot kind of goes in, it's not straight.
Any other questions right now?
no questions.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor or against this proposal? All right, it's looking like we're probably gonna continue this. We can leave it open for now in case someone comes to the next meeting. Any other questions or comments? before-
None.
Do you understand what we're looking for? Just
Yes.
a copy of the house plan and just any more backup information that you can provide us for why, you have to build it this way, or you're looking to build it this way, what the hardship is. Take another look at the definitions of the hardship in the bylaw, so, and then when you come back, we can look at those plans and we can give it a more thorough overview.
It's mostly just to accommodate the garage and the master suite.
Right.
So, yeah, I have the plans here in email, so I can just
Okay.
email them right to you.
All right, we can take a motion to continue.
Motion to continue?
Second?
Motion is made and seconded to continue. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Is this, can we keep this for the record?
You can keep that, yeah.
As the copy we have isn't signed?
Sure.
Okay.
Continue to when? What's the next
Oh,
date?
our next meeting of December
17th.
17th. All right, thank you. We'll see you in a couple weeks and. All right, the next item on our agenda is a new hearing for 75 and 85 Middlesex Turnpike as advertised. Well, please introduce yourself and give us an overview of your proposal.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Christine Hung from Reamer and Bronstein, attorney for the applicant Shake Shack, Massachusetts LLC. With me tonight is Joe Buckholtz, the sign contractor. Shake Shack is leasing a portion of the former Sears retail location at the Burlington Mall. As you may know, the Simon Group is repositioning the Sears location to add mixed retail and restaurant tenants. in order to enhance the, overall appearance of the location, and then to offer a diversity of offerings to the mall patrons. Shake Shack is a fast casual restaurant that is known for their higher quality type burgers, fries, and custards. It was a concept originally started in New York City, and they've successfully enhanced and expanded their locations throughout the United States, and currently there are 7 locations in Massachusetts. They are seeking a marquee sign permit for this location, and although it is compliant in height, it exceeds the width or the length requirement because of the wording and then the small design logo. We feel that it is an appropriate size for the location, and it needs to be large enough as a wayfinding site for motorists on the roadways, and then also within the parking lot to be able to see the location. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, we'll start with you.
Do we have any plans?
Yeah, there are renderings submitted with the application.
They're a little hard to read. You don't have originals by any chance, do you?
All I have is this.
Yeah, that's all I have. I don't have anything showing me the
No,
sign.
I can provide bigger ones.
This,
Sorry, I thought that there were,
it shows it, but you can't see it.
This is all I got.
Oh, that's all you got? I got this, but.
But you can't read it.
Oh, I can see it there. Oh, I see it now. I see, it. You can barely see it on mine, but
Right.
it's there now.
Yeah, if you have an original
Yeah.
that we can
yeah,
pass
do you want
around,
me to
that.
pass it to you, or do you
that
want
would-
me to just kind of walk you through it?
Why don't you walk us through it, and then we could pass it around, that would be great.
So this is the, thank you, Joellen. This is a plan of the mall. Just by way of landmark, Nordstrom is here, Macy's, Lord and Taylor. This is the former Sears site, and so the Shake Shack will be where that green is, and this is a parking lot. Middlesex Turnpike is at the bottom of the page. This is just an internal layout of the restaurant. So this is the sign rendering, the storefront, this is the entrance, and then the proposed signage, and this is what I can provide to you.
So is that.
That's
so
a
is
better,
that-
that's a.
Yeah, if you could just hand it to Jim, and then we'll pass it, we have 2 copies. No, that's all right, it just didn't come out quite as clear on the
Yeah.
on the copy.
Yeah.
I think I might have another set too.
It's still a long sign.
Yeah, if you have some questions that you don't need to look at the plan for, sure. Yeah, great, thank you.
Can you tell me how many stores are going in that, the outside stores in the Sears
I
area?
don't think that they know yet. I think that they're just, this is,
Kind of hoping that somebody from the mall would be here so I can ask some questions. I guess what my biggest concern, regardless of the sign, is that there's gonna be too much signage on the Sears location, just in general. So I'd love to see something that, I know that they probably don't have them all leased yet, but I'd love to
yeah,
see something
that's, I
that,
don't think that they have them all leased
No.
yet. So I think this is one of the first tenants that, going into that space.
love to see some type of, sign plan from the Simon Group that, shows me that, we're not gonna just be doing a bunch of random signs that don't look, Shake Shack goes into one place and then another store goes right next to it that has a completely different, color set, completely different, shape to its logo, and then the next one's completely different from that.
Yeah,
and then-
I mean, if there are tenants in there, they'll all have their own like trademarks and logos, so I think that you're gonna see that. You could see that.
Yeah, that's what worries me. I mean, in other locations, we've done things a little differently, where we've kind of hemmed in what exactly they can do, where we can have their own logo and all that, but maybe black and white or something like that. But that's why I'd like to talk to somebody from, maybe the Simon Group, to see what their plans are for the rest of those spots.
Yeah, I mean, the sign is white, it'll be illuminated, but it is a white sign.
And what about the logos? Oh, I'm sorry. The logo color, that looks different to me on this page.
It'll be, is it green?
Yeah, a little bit of a green kind of a
That's what it
element,
looks like.
outline drawing of a hamburger and a bun. It's not a big blasting, full color logo. It's just very linear lines, just an outline drawing. It's really not a very, strong logo in terms of like visual and light. There's not a lot of light in it. Very subtle.
Okay. I wished I had a better diagram than that to look at, though. It doesn't look good. Now, and if you don't mind me, keep going.
No, go ahead.
So the length of the sign is 20 feet? 20 feet. And that's just gonna cover that main entrance, right?
Yeah, and if you see to the left of that main entrance, there's a little jog out. And so it kind of like the entrance recedes and then that little left side of the door jogs out. But then the sign will just be kind of flush with that jog out.
Is that for now, John?
Yeah, I'm all set,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, I agree that we need to, it may not be easy, but to see what Simon is thinking about the signs of the other locations, because as I look at your mall level plan, the lower level plan, there's a whole, there's other tenants that are gonna be in all of these other spaces. Are they gonna, is it gonna be some conformity here, or is there gonna be, sort of haphazard is the way I'm sort of understanding this? Do you
Yeah, and I mean, I
have
don't,
any standards for?
I mean, I think that I don't know which tenants are going in there. I know that just Shake Shack is there, are leasing that space out. I don't know if they have a plan for any other tenants along that exterior front, but I would imagine it would just be similar to what their trademark, it would be their trademark, but is there like a sign size that the board would consider to maybe have parameters in terms of on a moving forward basis that, other tenants could have a sign that is certain, like maybe a by right sign would be a certain amount of square feet, length, height, and then anything bigger, they would have to.
They already have, if you don't mind.
That's what the bylaw
Yeah,
is.
we already have that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly, but I guess for other tenants that are coming forward, maybe just to make the process also easier, where they don't have to come in front of the board each time, maybe we could have like a set dimensional standard for these signs. Just a thought.
I think everybody's gonna have to come in front of the board, I think, no matter what.
Okay.
There's no other sign.
Yeah, because,
Still there even, so-
Right, no, I understand that there is that condition on there.
yeah.
One of my bigger concerns is not necessarily the size or the shape of the sign. I know that some businesses are gonna have longer names than others,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be hard to kind of fit it into one size. My concern is like the number of signs. So I don't know how many other tenants are really going in there. I don't know where the buildings are. For me to approve a sign that's 20 feet long, and then if there's a tenant going right next to them and they want a 30-foot sign, or something, then we're starting to get into an area where there's a lot of congestion on that side, so I just kind of like to have a better idea of the whole Sears remodel.
But I guess if they don't have tenants, any tenants for that space, then would Shake Shack have to wait until their sign is approved in order to get other?
I mean, excuse me, even if they could provide us with, I mean, at the very least, a rendering that shows that entire wall of the former Sears, and, you know, maybe a potential maximum number of breakouts for tenants. I mean, there's gotta be they have to have a certain idea that they're not gonna have, you know, maybe it's three, maybe it's six, but they're probably not gonna be more than six, you know, like, there's only a finite amount of
Right.
space. I mean, even on this plan, like, they kinda have it carved out on this floor plan they have here, so I assume they have a general idea. But, you know, just to know that, you know, if there were another tenant that were to come into looking at this plan, the left-hand side, and you have kind of the space in between where that bump out is, you know, if there was another sign there, that might be okay, but if there's one directly right next to the Shake Shack sign, you know, maybe that doesn't work, so, and, you know, to take them one at a time and have to, you know, we don't wanna have to make everyone conform around necessarily the Shake Shack sign either, so to get a more general overview would be helpful for us, 'cause this is,
So like here, it looks like there will be five tenants along that exterior frontage. I mean, I don't know what the
That's what it looks
dimensions
like,
are. Yeah,
right.
I don't know what the dimensions are, but
right, but if we could get like a more detailed view of that whole elevation to show us and even what they're thinking, you know, we might not necessarily be able to hold them to that, but that's what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see at least the whole facade, to see where
Right.
any entrances are. I mean, they're gonna have some idea, I would imagine, at this point, where everything's gonna go. So, I mean, you know, a 20-foot sign might be fine if the tenants to the left and the right of them are, you know, the
I
entrances
think
way
so,
over to the sides, but.
yeah, next to the right of that Shake Shack, I think it is like a corridor. So that's not a tenant space, that small
Right.
little narrow space.
And that,
Pretty sure that
There'll
has
be a
sign.
break.
right, and that has another sign on it that's for the mall.
That has a sign on it for the mall, so that's what we're,
Doesn't
kinda
it?
what I'm asking for is the whole facade, so I can see the whole, exactly how it's all gonna look together.
And unfortunately for Shake Shack, you know, this is the first one coming in for these, but we need to take a broader view. Unfortunately, they kind of take the hit for it, but you know, once we get a better idea of the whole overview, it should be easier moving forward.
So then, I'll have the mall then do kind of like a front facade, like rendering, like just in terms of all the breakouts of the tenant spaces.
I would say.
I don't think
yeah.
that there are tenants in there yet, so, but you just want like a view?
Yeah, an elevation that would show, you know, proposed store entrances on that facade and any signs that are already approved, because I don't remember 100%, but I believe Charles is right that there's a sign at that entrance that you're talking about. So, I mean, that will be, you know, directly adjacent to the Shake Shack sign. So we would want to see how those tie together and.
So for the Cafe Nero, how was that process done? Where the Sears Auto, because, how was that done? Did they have to come before the board on that?
They did not come to the board for that sign. I would have to go back and look at the decision, but I'm going to guess that the decision for the no other signs, even if by right, was for the building. And so that might be a technicality that even though it's on the same property, it's not on the building. Then I would assume that their sign is by right under the bylaw then. Or the building inspector wouldn't have approved it.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any more questions? I have a couple before we move forward, but, okay. Go ahead.
Just had one. So is the, so the 2x20, is that consistent with the other 7 or so locations as far as size and
The
look?
ones I've done, it's very consistent. This is the standard look. I've done 2 other locations that have this exact same look and the same letter height, pretty much the exact same sign.
Was there any consideration to making it shorter? Oh, you know, making the fonts smaller, the size smaller? Seems
They're
rather
concerned about it
large.
being too small to
Too
visibility
small?
wise.
And then the bylaw also provides the 2 feet in height as well, so it's compliant in height. And I think if you shrink it, you kind of have to shrink it proportionately.
I mean, the only reason I ask is it takes up 60-some odd % of your facade, you know, the front facade.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Dimensions wise, that's a lot.
Yeah.
How did you calculate that?
The width, 60%
So
of
the
the
width
width.
is 33 feet, right? The sign is 20 feet, so it's over 60% of the front fascia. So,
You wouldn't calculate the overall,
He's just saying 60% of the width of the,
Right.
not 60% of the square footage.
okay.
That's,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
all right, I had a couple questions before kind of getting back to the other signs that aren't shown here. It says sign 2, there's a wall sign. It says above interior storefront,
That's on the interior, so as
not
you,
visible from the outside, or, okay,
and so that sign, I think on Andy Ungerson's letter, it was like sign 2 and sign 3. Those are all interior signs, not visible from
Okay.
the exterior.
I just wanted to clarify that they weren't visible from the outside, okay. So for sign 1, the marquee sign, so do you know what the dimension is for the jog in the building there?
I think it's like 4 feet,
Okay.
4 feet and a little bit.
And does the overhang that the sign sits on, does it protrude past that, or
No, I
is
think
it
it's
flush
flush.
with
It's
that?
flush.
Okay. And is there a reason that you went with a marquee sign as opposed to a wall sign, to not put it on the wall?
I think that is their design, their
That's
standard
how-
design.
That's how they do it. They
All their signs are marquee
And other
signs?
restaurants that actually build a portico, for lack of a better word,
Mm-hmm.
that comes out to mount the sign on.
Okay,
It's a distinctive Shake Shack.
okay. I was just curious. And just, could you just give us a little bit of detail on the lighting for the sign while we're talking about it?
It's interior illuminated LEDs,
Do you know what the,
3,500 Kelvin, which is a very light, not a very strong light. Like if you look at your ceiling, that light going up is a 65. The light coming down is probably a 45. This is a softer light. This is a 3,500 Kelvin, which is even softer.
okay. And do you know what the lumens per square foot are?
I think it's a total of 90 for the whole sign.
Okay. And what about the hamburger logo? How is that just like an LED strip?
It's internally lit, but just like the little elements just kind of light up as a line. The whole sign itself doesn't light up. They're like, it looks like a little bit of a hamburger bun, then a little bit of a burger, then the bottom of the bun. It's just like a abstract element of a hamburger drawing.
All right, I mean, one of my concerns with that is that it doesn't look like a neon
It's-
open sign, you know?
It's not neon, but it does emulate it a little bit, and because it's a linear lit element, it's not a full wall lit element, but it's not neon. It's not the same as, like neon is like,
Yeah. So you've done one of these signs before, very similar to this. Would you be able to provide us with a picture of one of those?
Yeah.
That would be helpful to get a better representation of it. So I agree with other members of the board that we'd like to just have a better total overview. Unfortunately, Shake Shack kind of takes the hit on this being the first one.
Yeah.
But there is the potential that all of a sudden, you know, it's gonna be one after another. Next thing we know, there's just a wall of signs down there. I would just mention, as far as the size goes, I don't personally have an issue with the size, just taking this as it is. If it was a wall sign and it was allowed by right, then the size would be compliant, so, but that's just my opinion on that. So I think, the elevation, the full elevation is what we're looking for, a picture of the sign, of a existing sign. Is there anything else that I missed that we'd want to see?
I have a question, not something I want to see, but on the other 7 locations that you have, do every one of them have the Shake Shack and the logo?
I have not done all 7, I've only done 2 or 3.
Okay, I'd like to know that though, too. If the logo is on all 7 locations.
The graphic, the hamburger graphic?
Right,
Okay.
I saw the one in Newton, and I don't think it's there.
okay.
I'm pretty sure I didn't see it there. We did the Watertown, there's this one.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they don't really need it.
you're right.
The Watertown one, the Newton one's been in there for at least 8 years that I know of.
In Newton?
And they put one in Seaport, and I don't remember if there's a element or not, I don't know.
All right, I guess, I mean, can't force anyone to come in, but a representative from the mall maybe giving us a general idea what their game plan is would be helpful as well.
Sure.
We'll try not to grill them. All right,
So on the faces, you wouldn't have, because there are gonna be various tenants in each of them who would all want their, you know, their own respective signs on there.
Right.
Are you having issue with them putting their signs on there, or just really the size of it is what you're concerned with?
I think it's the size and the feel, you know, that you're going from, you know, I mean, even if you had the same type of letters, if you went from one sign that's 2 feet tall to another sign that's 3 feet tall down to another one that's 2, you know,
Yeah.
hopefully we're looking for some sort of consistency in size and scale. I mean, if there's one tenant that, if this is 33 feet wide, if someone's 66 feet wide, you know, maybe there'd be a difference there. But trying to get, I know it's not, you know, we don't have all of the information, we don't know what the tenants are gonna be, but
Right,
to get
that's the
some
thing,
kind of
that-
game plan.
I'm just trying to think of like Wayside, how they all have different, you know, they all have their
Right.
own signs, but they're probably all very, you know, but it just works, and I'm just thinking of other kind of like,
I think when Wayside came in, they provided a rendering, and I wasn't here for the initial approval, but they provided a rendering that showed the full facade of all, and they had all the store fronts broken out. Now, I think that may have shifted a little bit here and there over time, but they had an idea that this is the facade, you know, there's a general area where a sign could potentially be. So that gave the board probably a little bit of idea to know what they were getting into.
Yeah, if I can
Yeah.
speak on that, I was here when that decision was made, and they all had, you know, relative sign bands, and they came in, it's almost like a big presentation for the whole area, and then they came back one sign by one sign per tenant.
yeah, I guess I'll have to ask them all to see if they have any tenants for those spaces, I just don't know if they do, so.
But even if,
Just sorry.
even if they have an elevation that shows potential breakout, you know, for the spaces, so we know what would, you know, how many different spaces. I mean, it could change over time, anything. I mean, obviously, this was all one tenant at one point,
Yeah.
and obviously it's changing, but we're just trying to get a better overview. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No problem.
Sure, okay.
So my general concern is that on this particular side, I don't know what the other side, but on this particular side, look, it appears that there's gonna be maybe 5 tenants on that sign. If we approved, you know, 5 20-foot signs, that's 100 feet of sign on that wall. That would be highly unlikely that I would approve one 100-foot sign on that wall. So I want to see how it looks before, like, where the entrances are, how it's gonna all look. I don't want it to look like one big, one big 100-foot sign
Sure.
on that.
Okay.
All right.
Your bylaw already restricts the height, right? Of 2 feet.
But for a wall sign, that's for a marquee sign, which yours is, that was to my point.
Okay, so
For a,
it's not, if they wanted a wall sign, they could.
if a wall sign, the dimensions would be different. And, I mean, there's also this building, because there's been a lot of sign permits granted, this board has placed a restriction on this, building, that there's no other signs allowed, even if by right, so that they would have to come back to us for this purpose, so we can see how they relate to each other. But yeah, wall signs and marquee signs are 2 different dimensional requirements.
So, if you want me to say, so even if you decided to change your mind and go to a wall sign to get everything what you were looking for, you would, even though it's allowed by right, you would still have to come back to us, just so you know.
I didn't realize there was a distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was specific to just the wall signs themselves.
no.
All right, I guess, do you understand what we're looking for?
Yeah.
To try to move forward?
Yep.
Unfortunately,
Thank
like I said, Shake Shack's taking the brunt of this, but
That's okay.
hopefully moving forward,
Yeah, I'll be-
it'll all be clearer going forward.
All the other tenants will thank you.
Yeah, right. All right, anything else from the board? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor or against this proposal? Seeing none, again, this sounds like it'll be continued, so we'll leave it open. If there's any other questions or comments or motion to continue?
Motion to continue?
Second?
Motion is made and seconded to continue to our next meeting of December 17th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we hold on to these copies?
Yeah, yep.
Thank you. Okay. The next item on our agenda is review of the minutes from November 5th. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to accept the minutes from our meeting of November 5th, 2019. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any business or motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Meeting adjourned.